Welcome, everyone. This is the Dynasty Podcast, where we dive into the grand tapestry of the secrets on how to build your own dynasty. Get ready to embark on a journey through many glory and downfalls. This is Sam Lammy, better known as... Hey, this is Sam Millions, and this is the Dynasty Podcast, where we bring on guests and talk about how they are building their own dynasty. Today's guest, we have Mr. Brandon Oliva. He's actually part of the Dynasty Health Insurance Agency as well. And this guy is just an amazing young individual, and wanted to make sure that he came on this podcast and share a bit of his journey. What's up, Brandon?
What's up? It's
How's
a pleasure.
It going, brother?
It's going great. It's going great. It's been a couple good days. Really, I'm glad you invited me to this. I've been wanting to do a podcast, doing this for a while now. I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah, man. One of the reasons why I thought of you, we thought of you for this podcast today is because I know that you have aspirations of building your own, again, for lack of better terms, dynasty with building an organization next year. And just wanted to kind of get a little bit of your mindset into that before you go into 2024. What are your goals for building your organization next year?
Well, I would just say, one of my biggest goals is really just growth. But other than just growing as an organization, I want the people part of my organization to grow as individuals, grow their own, dreams, and really, be go-getters. I always just believed in never giving up, and I want that to be a core value in our team, that we're just a group of individuals that never give up and strive to accomplish the dreams they set out for themselves. So the goal is, big organization, more than 50 plus agents, all hitting their milestones, all changing their lives, really paving the way for a whole new dynasty.
Wow, that's great. It's important to note that yesterday we had a meeting with your existing team, and I mentioned to Brittany, who is someone that you're working with closely, and how tormented it makes you when others are not successful, because you understand what it takes. What makes you care so much for the individuals who are with you?
Oh, it just comes from a point where I was at one point. I was, when I first started, I wasn't, the talented kid out the block, that had all the talent in the world, that got things quick. No, I was a slow learner. It took me a while to get to the point I am today, a long time, actually. And to see others, be in a similar situation, where they're not getting things quite off, right away. Things are, not going the way they ideally want it to go. And, that always makes me care, because anyone could have given up on me. Yeah. Anyone could have counted me out. Anyone could have just, told me I was never going to be successful, which they did. But, I didn't let that stop me. And, I don't want that to be for someone else. I don't want anyone to be felt that they were given up on.
Yeah, that's important. Now, it's also important for the audience to know, those who are listening, because I'm sure, Naples, Florida is going to tune into this. Orlando, Florida is going to tune into this as well, and then beyond. But what kept you going during those times where it was tough? Because a lot of people come into business and tough times forces them to quit. And you experience a long bit of delay, but last month, you made over $30,000. Not to throw that out, but you made over $30,000 last month. And had people look back at where you were 2 years ago, around this same time, 2 years ago, no one would have ever thought of that. What was driving you to become successful?
There's many things that were driving me, but one of the biggest things was just I never wanted to just always be the kid that just was counted out. I wanted to prove to myself that if a person like me could do it, anyone literally can. And it just takes, you looking yourself in the mirror and just telling yourself it's possible. It's possible for you. It's possible that you're able to do something, because it's that individuality you need to really just push yourself forward, because people are always worrying about whatever anyone else is saying. Everyone's always worried about what, their neighbors saying, their friends are saying, what everyone's putting onto them, but they're not worried about what they're putting onto themselves. And that's really what took me to have to be there, sit there, and internalize and be like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be the one to do it. That's what drove me to know that I'm gonna be the one that's gonna be able to change it all for the people I care about most.
Yeah. What was your process in leveling up? Like, what steps did you take to go from, for lack of better terms, from zero to hero? What was your process? What was your daily mindset that you had to go through to get there?
Well, it all started this one day. I went to college. I was living in like a 4x4 like really really crappy apartment complex, and I would go there every night after work. And I was like staying up all night, sitting there, just looking at my roof and just wondering, like, I hate this room, I hate this bed, I hate this whole apartment, I hate everything about this. Like, this isn't what I want. This isn't what, like, I don't work this hard just to be here. I don't work this hard to just sit here in my room and just hate my own living space. And like one night, just like I kept just like I like snapped out of it. I just really just kept telling myself over and over in my shower, just like repeatedly out loud, just I will be successful, I will be successful. And I literally took me every breathing second thinking the thoughts of I will be successful to just, create this like positive feedback loop in my brain.
Wow.
To just convince myself that I will be successful.
Man, it's important. It's important, and I'm so glad you're saying this because I don't know. A couple of days ago we had a conversation, and I told you people say actions speak louder than words, but I don't believe that. I believe your actions respond to your words, and I said that to you, and you was like, "Whoa, what do you mean?" The fact that you were in a position where you were not seeing success yet. But then you had to say to yourself, I will be successful, I will be successful. And the repetition of it was you internalizing, hey, I'm going to be successful. And then you added the corresponding actions to become successful. And now we call you 100K Oliva, $1 million Oliva for a reason. And a lot of things that a lot of people who are successful and people don't see this is what's done in private is elevated publicly. So privately, you did the work of, privately you said to yourself, I'm going to be successful. Then I know there was more actions that you took towards that, self-help, listening to different people on podcasts and stuff like that, watching different content, doing one-on-one with individuals that you deemed successful, and here you are today. And the half hasn't been told. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, you making $30,000 last month, this time next year, I can't wait to say, hey, you made $90,000 last month, or whatever it is. There's no limit to what it is because the power is in your hands. So that is important, man. I love hearing that story because it's going to encourage the listeners to understand that despite what it looks like, you have the opportunity to win, to triumph, and to become successful.
No, literally, it's these people that need to understand, like, it's never going to be up to anyone but yourself. It's at the end of the day, it's only you. This is your life. You don't brush your own teeth. You don't wipe your own butt. you do everything on your own. It's on your own accord. Like, all your actions are based on what you wanted. Whether, it was influenced by someone else or influenced by something, it's all you made that conscious action, whether you believe it or not. And I feel like people nowadays have a lack of ownership. People just don't take ownership and always try to, like, blame it on something else. Blame it that it was, because of this, because of that, it's because of the economy, because it's the government, because it's, just because my friends, told me this and that. And like, it always leads back to that, like, saying, if your friend jumps off a bridge, are you going to jump off a bridge? Well, people follow the pack, and, you can't be a follower. You got to be a leader.
Wow.
And that's something I always, like, try to, like, live by, because to be a follower, you're making decisions not based on what you think. You're making decisions based off, what other people think. And, that's not a fun life. Do you want to be told what you want to do every day? Do you want to make decisions that, you didn't truly want to make? It's like, that's what reality is starting to become. And that's what everyone tries to be, part of a posse, rather than, being an owner of a group or leading a group or, screw the leading the group, but just creating a family.
Wow. Yeah, creating a synergy amongst individuals is extremely important. Like, what do you think? Like, who were some of the most impactful people in your journey to success? Like, and this could be even podcasts, books, or whatever. Like, because someone that's watching this right now probably is saying, I want to be successful too. How did this kid go from, and I'm just going to tell a little bit of your story, delivering pizza to making $30,000 in a month and then on track to do more than that this month? Like, who are some of those people or books or that you had to tap into to transform Brandon Oliva?
Well, first thing, I would recommend anyone just get into an environment that, forces you to be uncomfortable. Like me jumping into sales forced me to be uncomfortable, like something I've never done. Like you said, I was delivering pizzas. I was a shy kid, never knew how to talk to anyone. So, getting into the sales organization and now, stepping foot into uncomfortableness and, becoming comfortable in my own abilities. Some of the things, that I would say is, and I would always look at is, honestly, all of y'all, like you, Dakota, a lot of the people in the big up top in the organization, Brandon Capina, Jay, and all these people, because you guys are at a level of degree of success that, I'm looking to obtain to be at. And it's like, if these people could do it, it's possible. And that's what also kept me going all the time in Dynasty was like seeing, Brian, you, people here succeeding in this industry. And I'm like, if this is possible, if these people made it and did it, why can't I, And that's something I always like followed. And then, it really started by, honestly picking up a book. Like the first book I ever read was, I mean, it might be just generic, but it's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Honestly, one of the most life-changing books ever. It taught me really how to speak to people, how to like understand people, build relationships with people, communicate with people. And, that's a gift to have, like to be able to talk to someone, build a relationship, speak words that impact someone. That's what honestly keeps me going. And other than that, another really life-changing podcast and a really, life-changing individual that like changed my life was listening to someone called Bedros Keuilian. Like,
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, because it's like, it was recommended to me by like just Jay. It was our leader, and he taught me a lot of things. But he had like brought us into a meeting one day and started saying like, look, guys, I listened to this podcast called like, it was the first ever episode. It was like How to Be Like Jesus Gonzalez by Bedros Keuilian on his podcast. Y'all should watch that for sure. But he was talking about it, and I'm like, dang, like the story he was telling me, it was about like a guy that just like, because long story short, Bedros Keuilian like has this like I don't know, like I guess like a sergeant type thing just to teach you like life. And this guy just was relentless, man. This guy like got like injured in like the training thing, had to go to like a hospital like that was like 50 miles away, and then like ended up back at like the place like just on his own accord, like just through a straight grit, effort, and just tenacity, just never give up. And as I continue to like listen to him, it just really like changed my mindset to take more ownership, become a stronger and more impactful human being, because that's what it really is like, it's just really what it is, just like to get up every day and just want to be a better you, to be better than who you were yesterday. That's how you got to go through life.
That is important. Yeah. Life is a journey, in fact, a journey. And a lot of people just need to understand that, every day you're in competition with yourself, no one else. The man that you were, the woman that you were in the mirror yesterday, that's who you're in competition with. And as long as because it's biblical, comparison breeds discontent. And so once you start removing that focus on who you were yesterday or who you were a moment ago, right? Because I don't believe in bad days. I believe there are bad moments. But no one bad moment is greater than that one day, if that makes sense. And so, that's important. Now, like, let's say there's an 18-year-old, 19-year-old male or female watching this podcast right now, and they're delivering pizza, and they want to do better. What would you tell them?
What I would tell them is just go out there, man. Whatever you want in life, just go out there and just go get it. Like, whatever way is possible, whatever way, whatever it takes, go. Like, it's in life, there's gonna be sacrifices. In life, there's gonna be things, you know, you're not gonna want to do, but nothing in life is worth having. Nothing in life that is worth having is gonna be easy. You know, it's not gonna be easy to get. And you know, don't let just like bad moments, you know, just stop you from a lifetime of just like pure abundance. There was this like quote I always heard. It was like, don't let a temporary feeling allow you to make a permanent decision.
Wow.
Or don't make a permanent decision off a temporary feeling.
Wow.
And like that spoke volumes to me, is because like I could feel shitty in the moment. I could feel like, that, I don't want to get up, I don't want to go to work, but, over time, if I keep just going on that feeling, I'm never going to go anywhere in life. I'm never going to go and accomplish the dreams I set out for myself. So you're, someone that was like me, pizza delivery driver. Don't get caught up in just like the mundane actions. Do something that is worthwhile. Go out there and achieve whatever you want, and go out there and just strive and never give up and go attack it head on. Wow. And go all in. Go all in.
Go all in. That's the truth, man. You there's no plan B for you. And every time you had a plan B, it derailed you.
Yeah.
Every time you thought about plan B, let's be honest, right? Every time you thought about a plan B, your production, your income, and everything else would suffer because you were meant to focus on that one thing. Yeah. Eventually, we all can diversify and things of that nature. That is the goal for financial freedom, is to diversify your portfolios. But the only way any like Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, any of these other individuals that, everyone looks up to, right? Before they started putting their eggs in different buckets, they had to master one thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's the power of mastering the one thing. Once you master it, it delivers a level of income. Like Chris George, for instance. Chris George, although he has a number of businesses outside of insurance, before he did that, he mastered and won at every single level. And then it got to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going to allow other people to do their thing, and then I am going to diversify to build generational wealth. I firmly believe, like right now, and Chris probably, if he watches this, he probably wouldn't want me to say this, but I firmly believe Chris does not have to work another day in his life.
Probably not at all.
Because he's done he's done the right thing, man. He took the right path. And Chris, that's one thing about Chris George, is like he always talks about doing the right thing. Right? And the right thing is you focus, you master, you win at something. You do it at such a high level to where it's enough, way more than enough than the average American or average person makes, right? And then you start diversifying. And I just love that. Now,
that's actually very true, because it's crazy how you like brought that up, because the other day I was watching this video with Alex Hormozy, and it was talking along the lines of the same thing, that people nowadays try to throw all their eggs in multiple different baskets rather than fully focusing on one thing and one thing only. Like I call it like the singularity of focus. And I was telling this to someone else the other day too. And the way he used it was like the cups. Like he's like, rather than like dumping in multiple cups, right? Just like fill the first cup until it's overflowing, and then worry about, the other cups. Because nowadays people are trying to dip into so many different things. People want to do freelancing, social media, copywriting, e-commerce, drop shipping, YouTube automation, all these different types of sources of income that's, now the common thing nowadays in that sphere. And people just try to throw percentages here, 10% here, 10% there, rather than just going 100% on one thing and making sure that's right. And then you can focus on anything else.
When you haven't perfected something or have a system that's generated for, like, that's created to have that business flow, right? When you try to focus on multiple things, one thing is going to suffer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, that is extremely important until it makes sense. And everyone will truly know when it makes sense. Some people are just impatient. I was watching a video actually earlier today, and they were, I forgot the name of the Instagram, and it sucks because I would have given them a plug. But they go around different cities and they interview people and ask them what like industry they're in, how much money do they make, and things of that nature. And I came across a physician Physician said that she interviews the physician, and she's like, "How much money do you make?" She's like, $75,000. She was like, "Do you think you're well compensated?" She was like, "Not right now, but I will be. Big picture." I sat there and I said, big picture. Not too many people, and I think doctors are amazing at this. Doctors will literally go into enormous amount of debt to go through college and then get paid a fraction of the cost to do the exact same work just to look out 15, 20 years to when it finally pays off. Like, the fact is, how old are you, 20?
Yeah.
20-year-old you make more than probably 100% of resident physicians. Let that sink in. And what you're doing is you're selling insurance or assisting families with getting coverage to see the same physician that actually hates their job right now.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but the beauty of that is not because they hate it, because, some of them actually do it, but the fact that you go in hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to make $75K, which, $75K is not bad money. Like, again, that's not bad money. I think a lot of people could live that way. I just couldn't. The way my life is and the way I'm a giver, my job is, I honestly firmly believe that God has given me the ability to generate wealth, not just for myself, not just for my family, but to help others. And like, you weren't there, but someone on your team had a car accident, and I can just see visibly in his face that he was worried about his deductible, because he's a new agent, right? Mm-hmm. New agent had an accident, and another agent on your team same week had an accident. Mm-hmm. And I sat there, and visibly I can see that he was distraught. And I said, "You know what, team? This is what we're gonna do." Well, AJ actually said, "You know what, team? This is what we're gonna do." And I was like, "You know what? $250 towards your deductible." AJ says $250 towards your deductible. Then your whole team, in a matter of minutes, does what a lot of these organizations do. We raised enough money for this guy to be able to take care of his car, and instantly the burden was lifted.
That's what it's
instantly about. Like, you saw he broke down, which was great, and that's tears of joy and satisfaction and a sense of community. And Dynasty, that's what I want. I don't want I don't care if someone you could be the person that generates the most amount of income technically for the business, right? But if you don't help the others around you, it's like insane.
And that's what it's about. Yeah. Like, you can, when it comes to building an organization, if you don't have a family around you, or just a core group that respects you, loves you, and cares for you, then your organization's never gonna be an organization. It's gonna fall from within. And that's what it's really all about. That just puts a smile on our face, seeing just the level of camaraderie we all have built, this community we all have built. And when anyone comes into an organization, that's the first thing I always say. This community and this group of individuals, you're gonna find nowhere else. You're never going to have a group like this that cares so much about you, that does things that, other people would be selfish enough to never want to do.
Yeah. And
it's building that level of just family where, we're backed by brothers and sisters, we're just, always looking out for each other. And that's what, because at the end of the day, you could be the biggest, most richest person, but if you're doing this all alone, what's it for? If you're not, it's really makes no sense. You don't want to be at the top of the mountain, and not able to look at the view with no one else but yourself.
Yeah, man. I often say I want to be on a yacht, and I don't want to be there by myself, nor do I want to pay for everyone to get there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to be on that yacht in Saint-Tropez, right? Yeah. And be like, "Yo, Oliva, let's ride." "Okay, bro, yeah, I'm coming." But not, "Yo, I ain't got the money to do it." Right? Yeah. That's not what I want. And I think if everyone does that, where everyone works together to help each other become successful, the world's a better place. If, again, we have to purposely be mindful and intentional about helping those around us.
Yeah, it's like I said that one time. You can't be on a yacht. You can't be partying on a yacht when your friends are drowning alongside you.
Wow, yeah, I remember that.
It's just true. It's true. It's because if you can't bring people with you, and you can't even whoever it may be, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your friends, your aunts, tias, like whatever it may be, you can't just go and keep succeeding in life and you only be the successful one. It's just not worth having, It's just not worth having.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who are like just self-absorbed and they don't even see it that way because, and I also believe that for someone who is so self-absorbed like that, there's a reason for it. Like this year I have like dedicated enough time into understanding the psychology of humans and stuff like that. And a lot of the times those individuals, there's just like looking back, you can pinpoint why they are the way that they are. Maybe they were always looking for someone's approval and never got it. Yeah. And because of that, now they're showboating a lot and flaunting, and it's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And they refuse to look at the people next to them just because they want that sense of like approval. But they don't also, they're a lot of the times they're not introspective enough to say, well, how is it making others feel? That's why there's a lot that I can do with the money that, I make. There's a lot that I can do, but you never really see me like I like nice things, I like nice things, but for real, do you ever see me like being like more of a flexing type of guy that's like boastful around people? No, because I understand, like, especially with Dynasty, everyone knows that I make a level of income off of their efforts. Now, if a new agent walks into Dynasty and they're struggling, they haven't figured it out yet, and then I come in, iced out, Lambo outside, like, don't give a F. Like, what does that do for that person? There's two different type of people. There's one group of people actually that will motivate them. But more like a larger percentage of people, I believe, that will be like, well, I'm struggling and this guy is driving around in a Lambo flexing on me, da-da-da-da-da. And so I'm a little mindful about that. And I know like some people are like, well, you can't be, because those who want to be motivated by you will still whatever. But like, I want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable in our family, because our Dynasty's motto is what?
No agent left
No
behind.
agent left behind. And so if it's going to offend one, then it's not worth it for me to do, if that makes sense.
No, it makes 100% sense, because I was watching a video the other day, and the individual, I forgot who it was. I wish I could say it, but they were saying something very similar along the lines, because there's along the lines of like two CEOs. Like, there's one CEO that, when they walk in, they don't even say hi to a single person, walk by everyone and just like go straight to like doing their own thing, being very, kind of like an individual, like selfish person, versus like, one of the CEOs that walks in, someone could just walk up to them and say like, hi, I have a question. They'll like knock it out the first one, but the second one would be like, hi, how's you doing? Like, how's your day? And or like make a joke about themselves or say something. And just, that 1 second just of you talking to someone as you in the position you are as a leader, could mean the world for someone. It may mean nothing to you at that point in time, but it's just a gesture. But it could mean the world for someone. It could make that person's day better for them to be more successful later on. Or it could plant a seed into their life that then grows into, a whole forest.
Yeah. I a lot of people give me like credit for stuff like that, but like in all honesty, I have to be intentional with that too. I think the word of the day is intentional. Like, I had to be intentional with that too. I'm constantly pouring into myself by reading self-help books, because I don't believe that I know everything. I don't believe that I know everything.
That's humble.
And because of that, I'm going to, leverage those who have been there before me. Favorite self-help person is John C. Maxwell. Like, I have so many of John C. Maxwell's books.
Leadership.
And
He's really big on leadership.
Leadership, right? And my first year in Dynasty, I read 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And right then and there, I had to be introspective. And sometimes people, I forgot what you said, but I hope you remember the entertainment one. But some people, like they read books as if it's just for entertainment. Those self-help books are not just for entertainment. Yeah. Those self-help books are for you to sit there and be introspective. And in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, in their introduction, and people fail to read the introductions of books, and sometimes the introduction is the revelation in itself. It's like a synopsis of the whole entire book, and sometimes there's so many one-liners in there. And in the introduction, it says, read these books and read these habits with the intention of teaching it within 24 hours. That way it sticks. And so every habit, every irrefutable law that there is, in all the books that I've read, I try to implement and embody that so that it does take root. Like biblically, it's like, whether you want to be stony ground or good grounds. Like if you're trying to plant a seed on a stone right now, it's just going to bounce right off. Yeah. But if you're trying to plant a seed in great soil, it then takes root. And when that takes root, it begins to grow and flourish. And the greatest self-help book for me has been the Bible. I use it all the time in like the meetings and stuff because like if people go back and read some of the verses, stop, internalize, and connect it with like their lives, they'll realize how it is the blueprint for life. Literally. Right? Regardless if you're religious or not. I actually do want to start reading the Quran and figure that out myself. But like, regardless of if people are religious or not, a lot of the principles from a lot of these self-help individuals, John C. Maxwell is a believer actually. John C. Maxwell, all those individuals, Steve Covey, whatever, like all their principles are linked to biblical verses and biblical principles. And it's insane because once the prerequisite for me was read some of the Bible verses and stuff like that, then I go back and read these self-help books and I'm like, whoa, that's this scripture, and so sense. It's crazy. So
it's true. And I like I always used to say, like, it's like information without action is just, entertainment. Exactly. And it is true because like the word we've been saying, you gotta have an intention when you're reading all these books. You gotta have an intention to want to learn, to like want to actually, take the knowledge from whatever you're reading and whatever you're learning, and actually like have the intention to want to learn and have the intention to want to put action behind it and have the intention that you want to implement. Because people like, everyone will tell you, oh, read a book, but people just read a book just to think they read a book and like get nothing from it. And it's like, that's not gonna help you. That's not gonna do anything, I can I can listen to all the podcasts in the world. I can read all the books in the world. I can, listen to all the videos and watch all the videos in the world. But if I don't take any action, I'm never going to get anywhere. And that's what
true.
Really is true.
It's not, there are some books for entertainment. I don't read them.
Yeah, no.
I don't read entertainment books. I don't read those sci-fi books. I don't read those romantic books. I don't read any of those books, murder mysteries. That's not what I read. I read self-help books because if I'm going to run an organization and help others create their own, like, what is a sci-fi book going to do for me?
Nothing.
Like, I really realized this year that I don't really watch television. I've lost my ability to watch sports because anytime that I do, like I think about ways that we can push the needle to be successful. I was talking to Alex Alzabak yesterday, and I was like, man, he's been with me for like 3-4 years, right? And I was like, Alex, how many $1 million producers did we have year one? How many $1 million producers did we have year two? How many $1 million producers did we have last year? And how many $1 million producers we have this year, and those who are on pace to do that, right? If I were to take time for entertainment, not saying that it's not important, but my goal is not to interrupt the growth of the business to entertain myself, right? And so every time, if I take time for entertainment, then I'm taking time away from development.
Literally.
And so I can't take time away from development when I'm not fully developed. The business isn't fully developed. If I say there's no agent left behind and there's agents that feel like they have been left behind, then I don't have time for entertainment. You see what I'm saying?
No, really.
And so that's really the goal of it, man. So, and I love that saying of yours. I always butcher it, but I love it because what is it?
Information without action is just entertainment.
I'm not here for entertainment. I'm here for development.
And it's true because you gotta lead from within. You know, people like become obsessed with like all these like different things without just developing themselves. It was crazy because Bader Cooling, he's pretty harsh with it, but he's just one of those like, you know, I guess you could say military type guys, but he was talking about like how people would just like watch shows and watch like sports and like be obsessed with like these teams and like be obsessed with like these people, these players, and it's like your name's not on the back of that jersey, their name's on the back of their jersey, and like you're sitting here like, you know, worshiping these people and stuff. It's like you gotta worship yourself, or in a sense like, you know, develop yourself. And
it's so crazy that you say that, right? Because I've been a lifelong Yankee fan, Giants fan, stuff like that. What jerseys have you seen me wear lately?
Just Dynasty?
Just Dynasty. I bought my daughter's Dynasty jerseys because I said the Yankees don't pay us. Dynasty does.
That's true.
And so I'm entertained by your success. That's what entertains me because I remember when you started. You would be there late, you sit there, and I'm like, dang, I don't know what's going on. Right? Then you started working with Brian Perua directly. And Brian was like, you know how Brian is. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm going to make this motherfucker good, man. Watch. He's going to be the best motherfucker out there. And I love it. And so Brian, and that's one thing too, Brian does have a big heart.
He does.
He has sometimes people may not see it.
He does.
But Brian has a big heart because he had a conversation with me, and he was 18 at the time, about to be 19. He was 18 at the time. He's like, man, I really just want this guy to be successful. He came here, like, me and him could blow this shit. Like, this is a true story. He's like, man, we can blow this shit together, man. Like, you imagine how many people are going to move from Naples here because me and Brandon Oliva are doing good, man. I got to make him successful. I have to make him successful. And, like, he dedicated his time, and here you are, $1.something million in issue business this year alone.
Yeah.
$2 million issue business lifetime. Like
in like a year, literally like a year and a half.
2 years ago, around this same time, you didn't even have a deal to your name.
Not at all. Yeah, literally.
How long did it take you to like actually get the light bulb to click?
Like from like the start or like?
Yeah, from the start.
Like honestly, like months, like 4 or 5 months. Like
yeah.
Wow. Like I literally went 3 months like $0. Like
see
the first 3 months.
Whoever's listening to this, 3 months, he started a business, gave up on pizza delivery, and the first 3 months he made $0. And that's the problem with today's society, because those 3 months were important in your development of who you are today. And a lot of people in today's society is unwilling to go through that to get to success. And people think success is just a singular thing. You're just going to walk into success. Well, you don't just walk into success. That's why, like, I think the percentage is like 70-something% or 80-something% of lottery winners go broke. They did not work towards that success. You worked towards it. And when that success came, it was sweet for you, because the journey is so important. And when you sit there and you embrace the journey, you remember where you came from. You remember the hardship, the heartache, the sleepless nights that it took to get to that position. When you get to a point, I don't believe there's a destination in success. I don't believe you, but you got to an overlook. Yeah. I went to Yellowstone. There's overlooks. When you got to that overlook, because you looked back and remembered the pain of not making money for 3 months, the pain of selling a deal and not getting it approved, the pain of someone ghosting you when it was the only deal that you were going to have that month.
Yeah.
Instant gratification isn't good for anyone.
No.
The journey should be embraced. The destination is fun, but the journey is beautiful.
Yeah. I think success, I always say success starts with you. Like, success always starts with you. And, like, I think success is, like, on along the terms of just, like, falling in love with what you do every day and every day in and day out. Like, if you can just progressively get better every single day, gradually over time, that's successful, that's success right there. And, like, that was one thing, it kind of goes back to the beginning of it all. Like, one key core value I always hold is just to never give up. And, like, a lot of people probably would have gave up. I see people give up first week and then them not making money. And it's like, how can you just, like, sit there and, like, I couldn't just have sat there because I knew I wasn't giving it my all. I knew I wasn't, like, going 100%. And I couldn't not have just sat there and given up when I knew I didn't give it my all. I couldn't have sat there and given up when I know I wasn't giving 100%. Because I know it was possible, especially seeing Brian, like, 18. We were both 18 at the time. Him with his quick success. I'm like, this is possible. Like, there's no way, like, I can't do it. There's no way I won't be able to do it. If there's a way, I'm going to figure it out. And it's always, like, figuring it out is always what's important because, like, people just tend to just throw in the towel and never try to at least figure it out. Because if you figure it out, you can probably come up with a lot more answers than you ever probably even knew to questions you probably never even asked.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the girls in the office yesterday, and I was letting her know, like, I come from the background of no days off, 7 days a week. I used to work 7 days a week. My schedule was 7:30 in the morning to 1 a.m. every day, 7 days, right? Now, that was also because I came from corporate America making over $300,000, and I was starting a business trying to figure out how I can get to that number, at least get to that number as quickly as possible. But I realized that I'm also an anomaly in the sense that I never felt burnt out at that because my goal was big. Like, when you have a big enough why, the how doesn't necessarily matter, right? And so my how was to get to my why. I gave myself 5 years to be at the level in which financially I was going to be okay. I did it in 3, right? But I gave myself 5 years. So in 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, I understood that my why was bigger than the how. So the how was 7:30 in the morning to 1 a.m., 7 days a week, right? But I understand that everyone can't do that. And I actually think I told this to you. For a lot of individuals who, and it's not to say one is better than the other, right? Again, I just had a strong enough why, so my how didn't matter to me. But you have to be able to take time to what you were saying, to be introspective enough to take time and sit there and say, what could I do better? And I think that's what allowed you to not quit when you were 3 months in not making money because you knew you weren't doing everything. At that time, people would gamble at night, and a lot of people would sit there and watch it. And I never understood it. You never really saw me watch it. I'll go right back to my desk. You guys start screaming, oh, my God, he just won $50. Okay, $50? This one phone call that I'm taking that you could have been taking right now is going to pay me $1,000. $2,000, $1,500.
There's this core moment in the first week, like when it really clicked for me, like it was like week 10 of like my first 13, and where like I had like 73K and I'm doing like 80 something that week. I would never forget this. It was like 11:30 p.m. at night, and like I was kind of like on pace to do 100K that week, and like I was kind of gunning for it, but I was the only one at my desk, just a little laptop, just grinding, like dialing people. Everyone was in the room playing poker. Everyone was just in the room playing poker, and I was the only one just sitting there just dialing. Actually, I ended up getting a deal like at 11:30. Yeah, it was a small deal, but that meant everything to me because I was like, dang, like I just got a deal. Everyone's playing poker. Like it takes like that sacrifice of not having to do these things. And another thing I also want to say is like being humble. Being humble. I feel like a lot of people don't when they start growing, they don't stay humble. Like. Because they either think they know too much, they think they know everything, they think they're already too good at everything, that they don't even work on their skills anymore. Especially like say for like a top salesman, they become a top salesman and like that person stops like trying to get better at sales, they're gonna fall off, eventually. And you gotta be humble enough to just like know, I'm always ever learning. And Grant Cardone was saying that, and that was a common thing I was listening to this week that everyone kept saying. Multiple people was just be humble, and you always, the more you're humble. And I always used to say the humble don't stumble.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for you to say it.
I would always say the humble don't stumble is true, because the more humble you can be, then there's still more work to be done, and that's what keeps you going.
Yeah, humility is key. Now, I know there's and to be honest, that's why I don't believe there's one way. Like, there's some individuals like that are good arrogant, right? That I watch and I'm like, all right, I can see why and how they motivate people. But by and large, especially in the way the economy is right now, being that's overly arrogant douchebag doesn't necessarily translate when other people are literally struggling, and humility is definitely the bridge between the haves and the have-nots, right? Because if someone who and have-nots are not in a bad term, is just those who are, I don't call people broke. I call them part of the aspiring class, because I grew up in a basement apartment, seven people live in a 2-bedroom basement apartment, right? So if I grew up like that, statistically, I was broke. But in truth, I was, and an air quote to those who are listening on Apple Podcasts or across all platforms, broke. Because, again, I don't believe I was broke. I believe I was aspiring for more. The most beautiful thing about where I'm from is I was in New York City, so I got to see, and back then there was no Ubers or anything like that. So I got to rub shoulders with millionaires and 100,000aires and people who weren't at the bottom of the food chain. And that allowed me to aspire for more. I know at one point I had to do speech therapy because my New York accent was extremely thick. And I had to do speech therapy in Manhattan. And I would have to take the subway from Brooklyn, and Canarsie was the first stop on the L train. And I would have to take, I think 2 or 3 trains, can't remember, to Manhattan. So I've always been observant, and I would people watch and see different individuals. And if I didn't have that experience, I would have been stuck in that one environment and could not aspire for more, because everyone was where I was, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense, because your environment is actually what matters most. You always hear anyone always say, surround yourself with great people and you will be great. And it's true, because if you surround yourself around people in the position you want, say followers, say for example, you're part of just a squad that always likes to go out, always likes to go party and every single night, and you're aspiring to be better, but 5 of your friends are always constantly dragging you out every night to go out, and obviously that's your environment and you get caught up in that pool. But say you're around 5 millionaires, now you're the odd one out if you're the one that always wants to party, because those 5 millionaires are probably telling you, no, we don't party, what? We don't do any of that. So then it changes your mindset, because now you're part of an environment that's more fulfilling, more, an environment that strives more for, I guess, success rather than, striving for, things that are going to hinder your success.
Yeah. I absolutely agree, because my mom used to say, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. Ooh. She used to say that all the time. And so whenever I would be around a circle of individuals that weren't what my mom would ideally want me around, I would literally think about it. Now, of course, just like any other kid, I literally would have those friends. But it was something that stuck with me. Yeah. Tell me who you are, and I'll tell you who your friends are. And that's why, unfortunately, to your climb to success, and I'm sure, Oliva, that you've seen some people that were your friends, but as you focus on your business, they're like, oh, you're too focused on this, and they just they stop chilling with you.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with that. Yeah. Because there's an analogy that I learned many, many years ago. You're the rocket. They're the boosters. The boosters never make it into orbit.
They don't.
The boosters fall off. but the rocket still continues to ascend. And you have to be okay with being that rocket and understanding that the boosters serve their purpose. And that's another reason why, like, if anyone ever leaves Dynasty, do you ever really hear me talking shit about them?
No, never.
Never. Why? Because I understand that in my mind, we did what we had to do. Just to wrap this up, man, and, you know, an amazing conversation with you. I just want you to tell the audience again, with building your own dynasty, like, what advice, like, you know, huge advice, one-liner, two-liners, whatever, your closing statements to the audience and letting them know, like, how you intend to build your dynasty or anything that would inspire them to aspire for more.
Yeah, one thing I will say is truly, just don't give up. Don't give up. This journey in life is going to be not an easy journey, you know. It's not going to be, you know, sunshines and rainbows. It's going to be a tough journey, but you got to embrace the toughness. You got to embrace the hard. And as long as you never give up in life, I promise you, whatever you strive for in life will come true. But you got to believe it. You have to believe, because if you don't believe, you know, it's never going to become reality. You have to believe. Believe in, you know, yourself. Believe in the grind. Believe in the journey. And the journey will come to you. I promise you that.
Wow. And that's the podcast. That's this episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends, family. Like, comment, subscribe. We're going to have a lot of short form content out there. And let's build your dynasty. Let's go. Thank you for listening to our podcast, the Dynasty Podcast, where we go through everyone's story because we understand before there is a glory, there has to be a story. We'll see you on the next episode of the Dynasty Podcast. Let's go.